Hey, Melinda. Good to see you. Happy Tuesday. My squeaky chair. You'd think it was ancient, but it's not that old. Oh, my goodness. All right. So it is beautiful here. How is it where you are? I just had to run up and open our screened-in porch so the cats could go out because the one was driving me crazy. He was trying to communicate to me. He wanted to go outside. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Yeah, I am live. Absolutely. I know. I was supposed to be live at noon. I got held up this morning at an appointment, and there was no way I could pull it together when I wasn't walking through the door till 11:45. So here we are at 2 o'clock. But anyway, hopefully some folks saw my post and will join us as well. But we're going to get started. We are down to just one more day of this month of April. So there's one more day, plus today, of course, to earn the Just Cards class for free. Minimum $45 product order on my website, no host code to worry about, and you will earn the class for free. There are three options: a porch pickup if you're local, an in-person class on the second Tuesday of the month, or we can mail them to you if you're a long distance Stampin' friend for just $5 for postage. Okay. You can also buy the class outright for $20. If you're long distance, you can still do that. It just would be 25 with the postage, or you can do a porch pickup with a $20 class fee, or come to the in-person class, right? So you have all those options available to you. Yeah, I was going to talk about my In Color Club. So In Color Club, all the brand new In Colors, with the possible exception of the cloud cover. They did make some announcements today that I'm trying to figure out how I could maybe work that into In Color Club for the cloud cover stamp. An ink pad will not be available, it sounds like, at least initially. So we might make that the last color just to give us some time to hope that it gets worked out. But anyway, it's $63 a month. You get a full pack of the cardstock. You get an ink pad, an ink refill, again, caveat on the cloud cover, the Stampin' Blends, a roll of ribbon, and the 6x6 Designer Series paper. 3 months, you're going to get free gifts from me, including the In Color Gem package. You also are going to receive a labeled sponge for each of the colors, and you will get a PDF at the end with different ideas that you can do with the In Colors as far as creating cards. Okay, so again, the sign up is listed below in the description if you're interested in that. If you're long distance, it's a $9 postage charge for the package to arrive at your doorstep. And then the Designer Series paper share is also running right now. That is going to be the ones that are in the new 25-26 annual catalog as the ones that are being released on the online exclusives around the same time, right? So it's 8 different papers, 2 6x6 sheets of each design in each paper pack, and that's $43. Again, it is $9 postage to get that to you if you are long distance. And they are cut down, I think I said they are cut down to 6x6. So it's 108 6x6 sheets is what you're going to receive. And $43 because I know that I will buy all the papers, but maybe that's not something that's in your Stampin' budget right away. So this lets you feel them, play with them, touch them. You can make at least 2 cards with each design, depending upon if you want to use the front or the back, etc. And if you bought them all, they'd be $115. So $43 is the bargain price to get those 108 6x6 sheets, right? All right. And then they just announced today as well that we're doing double rewards on all purchases. Believe it's May 2nd and May 3rd. So that will be in my newsletter on Friday, all the information and details on that. And if you're not on my newsletter list, you can sign up below in the description as well. You also always, every Friday, you receive a free PDF as my thank you for being a subscriber. So make sure you're checking that out as well. Okay, so today, and here's my funny story for you. Um, I designed these cards a while ago, and it's an even funnier story when I say, there it is, using the frame scenes, right? Loved this set, loved the dies. The dies are phenomenal. And I have this in here so I can show you. Can you see this little frame that gets cut out? It actually has wood grain cut into it. So hopefully you can see that on camera, but that's pretty cool as well. And especially when you use it like with the Country Woods Designer Series paper and use one of the wood grain patterns, it's actually cutting that wood grain in there. Now, while it's very cool and it looks really cool, the thing I will say to you is that when you put adhesive, if you're going to mount this flat, you want to be real careful when you run your adhesive around there because it will tear very easily. You can see all those little cuts in it all around. So it's fun. It's great. I love it with the Countryside Designer paper. Just be careful. Maybe use Tombow liquid glue or glue dots, or even if you're going to pop it up, dimensional should be fine. Okay. And then there you get the two different ovals, which I miss ovals. So those are great. They're great for greetings as well as focal images, another wood grain little die cut, and then of course that frame set. All right. And the images are pretty cool as well, right? You've got a bridge, a cabin, a tree house, a country lane, and our lighthouse. The word left my brain for just a second. 80 degrees. That's what we're supposed to do this afternoon. Yeah. Oh, it's overcast at 56. Ugh. Yeah, I set an alarm too because I was deep diving after I'm leaving this afternoon to go back down to the retreat house. So I was deep diving to get everything done. I thought I better set that alarm, and the next thing I'm going to look up and it's going to be like 2:05. So would be my luck. So that's the bundle that we're playing with today. And the first card is pretty simple, has some die cutting to it. I call it a faux front flap because doesn't this kind of look like this would come up and this would stay down, but it really doesn't. So it actually is a full card front, but just the way I mounted that and layered, it kind of reminded me of those partial flaps that you get on some of our cards, right? So a faux fun fold maybe, right? This was actually a card we did in club a couple months back. Pecan pie is our card base. Grab my bone folder. Mm-hmm. And then the woven textures designer paper. I can't say enough good about that paper. I can't stop using that paper. I go through adhesive like insane. I just replaced this Monday night. Now I have designed about a half a dozen cards since then, but really I need to replace it almost already again. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So this is one of the patterns from Woven Texture. And then I've already done all the die cutting. So this is the Country Woods Designer Series paper. And maybe you can see the grain on that side a little better. I'm not sure. And then I have another piece of the Country Woods that we're going to use for the insert. So it does cut both at the same time, but obviously if you want different design, then you're going to need to cut it twice, right? And while I'm thinking of it, because sometimes at the end I just say my goodbyes and get off, I plan to be live here Sunday night on YouTube. That's my new home, right? I'm not doing lives as a general rule or regular schedule over on Facebook any longer. Um, but I do plan to be live here Sunday night at 8. And then it's a guess because my surgery is Monday morning. Well, I'm assuming it's Monday morning. Um, so I don't know. Ideally, I will be back here live on Tuesday at noon, but it's all going to depend what time my follow up is and how the surgery goes and if I have a bleed. So we're going to start. This is simple stamping, right? We did a little die cutting, which I understand some people don't think, if you're die cutting, then it's not a simple card. But it was simple die cutting, and now we're just doing our image in the early espresso. That's it. We're not going to color this one or do any other crazy things. We've got our strips, and these are simply strips. These were not cut Although what I did just figure out is I don't have the early espresso strip here. So it's a good thing I have relocated myself over by my cardstock because we can just cut one of those very, very quickly, but not that. That's too slow. And I do go through these kits before I go live, but somehow I missed that that wasn't there. So this is 4 1/8 by 1. So we're going to cut a 4 1/8 by 1, but not from that. All these scraps and none of the right size. That's just crazy, right? And I know if you were on with me Sunday night, you heard me talking about the surgery and everything, but I just want to repeat myself in case there are people that weren't with us Sunday night. So they kind of don't think I have fallen off the face of the earth. I will be back. And as I said, hopefully. But it also might be a bit much for my eyes to adjust to having one lens, long distance vision in the one eye, and need a prescription in the other. I'm not really sure how it's all going to work, but we'll figure it out. All right, so there's our base. That's how it kind of makes it look like a front fold. Did I cut that at 4 instead of 4 1/8? I think I might have, but we're going to make it work. And then that happy birthday is my favorite happy birthday. And actually I used it on 2 cards today, so I have to pull it from wherever it went. There it is. And we're going to stamp that in early espresso as well. It should help me. I'm thinking it will help me read the comments. Oh no, well, hopefully you'll be safe. I know the weather, the storms, it's a lot. And I'm wondering if I should put, no, we're good. I'm wondering if I should put a comment in my newsletter about the surgery. Not that it's all about the surgery, it's all about the stamping, but it might impact the stamping, right? Or maybe down in the section where I talk about where and when I'm live, which we did get that updated last week. I can just put a comment that if you're not finding me, it's because I've had eye surgery, but I will be back. And then the right words, which is coming in the new annual catalog, is a great word set. And truthfully, right now, I think it is the only set, and I could be wrong. I don't own everything, obviously, but it is the set that I own with more than happy birthday for a happy birthday inside greeting. Okay. And that Right Words has a ton of other greetings in it. I did have somebody try to order it already, and I had to say, I'm so sorry, it's not available. And we'll pop that on the inside. And then I have the neutral matte dots, and I can never find the flap. And we're going to go ahead and put some pecan pies on there. Yeah, I'm like, something's not right here, and this is crooked. And that, you know what, I would take straight over being able to see the colors again. If I can only have one thing, I'll take being able to mount and stamp straight again over being able to see lemon lolly. I've lived this long without seeing it. I guess I can live longer if I can get my ability to do straight. So we're going to put 2 large ones on here and then a small one up with the image. And there we go. I'm not going to necessarily put those away because I think I used them on another one. All right, so there is a real quick and simple, especially if you've already cut the appropriate pieces, project using the cabin from the framed scenes. And I do think it kind of looks like a faux front flap, right? Okay, so that's project number one. And if you watch me regularly, you know, typically we do a minimum of two, but usually three projects. So let's go grab number two. I want to make sure that's sealed up. And we're going to play with some coloring too today. So here's something that I don't play with enough, and it's our watercolor pencil assortments. As a matter of fact, I found out that apparently I put the watercolor pencils in at the nest, the new ones, because we have a new package. I think that it includes the compi maybe, and took something out. And I don't here. So we're going to play with colors from what I did on the original. And there's actually two packages. This is real old packaging because I've had these forever. Watercolor pencils last forever unless this is your preferred color medium and you do it all the time, right? And then this is the watercolor pencil assortment too. So there are two assortments. I did make sure we were still carrying them. And we also are carrying that Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper. So I made this card with the lighthouse image. And of course, it's a fun fold and it stands up like that. And then on the back, I have a place to stamp a greeting. This one is retired, so I'll be using something different today. And then it folds up and fits into an envelope very nicely. So, whoops. So all you do is stand it up like that. You can spread it out a little further if you want more of the designer paper to show. But I thought that was perfect with the lighthouse, with that pattern behind it. How many were happy that Thoughtful Journey designer paper carried over? And if you are someone local to me and reserved a book, they are available. I know Sunday night someone had missed me when I said that, but yes, if you have a book catalog that you requested, or you're local and you want a catalog, give me a shout. We can figure it out. And I can put those that reserved in the tote on my front porch and you can pick them up at your leisure. Kidding. So inquiring mind, I always have inquiring mind questions, right? Um, my inquiring mind wants to know if you prefer the 1/8 inch border when you're matting, or if you prefer a 1/4 inch border when you're matting. What is your preference? What do you gravitate to? So these are just strips that I cut, one from each end of the 6x6. And then I cheated and I cut my oval out of the center of the layer that's going to be in the middle. So we're going to just go around the outside edges on this piece. And I don't know if for me it's dictated that I use a 1/4 border or an 1/8 of an inch border by the pattern, the design, or if it's truly I prefer. But I'm not going to tell you what I prefer until you guys say what you prefer. I don't want to influence. What do you prefer? And then I'm just trying to make sure that everything is lined up across the top and the bottom, and it looks like we were successful with that. We're going to go ahead and stamp the Thinking of You in the Fresh Freesia. And Thinking of You comes from Simply Said, which is where that happy birthday greeting comes from too, that I constantly pull. My grid is to help me be straight, but you gotta get the paper straight too, right? Oh, that's not straight. Let's try that on the other side. So Melinda says a quarter of an inch better to see the border. Yes, that is true. You do see more of the border. And I think sometimes that's what drives our decision, right? We want to see more potentially of the color or the basic white, depending upon what you're using for your background or your base piece. That's better. I won't put that the full way away because we're going to need it. And that's just going to go flat because we're going to mount our focal image with dimensionals. So I'm going to put that right about here. Okay. And then I already cut the ovals with the oval dies from the Frame Scenes bundle. And we're going to stamp the lighthouse. I'm going to get a piece of scrap underneath me. Well, I think I try to go with the quarter border, and sometimes I succeed, but I really do believe that I am an 1/8 inch most of the time. I think that should have been re-inked. And I even tested it this morning, but we're going to go with it. So I stamped in Stays On. And the reason I stamped in Stays On is because I am going to use a water paint. Now, this is an old water painter. This is back in the aqua painter days, because I think all my new ones are down at the nest. So I'm going to grab my pencils and then so I started with, now you can, and I've got the blender pen here too. So if you don't have aqua painters, you can definitely use the blender pen. In either case, and I'm just going to play here a little bit first to start, you can color directly onto your cardstock wherever you want your, that is so not good because I don't know where I have a pencil sharpener at the moment. Let me see. There, I might get luck. Oh, yay. Let's try that again. I will say you want to be careful with these because they do, as you just saw, they do break. But you can sharpen them with a regular pencil sharpener. Oh, wow. That broke way back in. All right. I'm not going to color with that point again, so I'm not too worried about getting a sharp point on it. I just want to have some color exposed. So you can do it that way, and then you can take the water to it. Okay. Kind of smooth it out a little bit. Or you can take the water brush too. And especially when, and didn't think about this being the challenge that it is with the vision right now, because normally I'd have my nose almost on that paper. But you can take the water brush too. And when we're dealing with these real tight little areas, that's not a bad thing. Okay. So I'm going to try to fix this a little bit. Hopefully my head does not come into it. That's a little wider on there than I would have liked it, but we'll go with it based upon the pencil breaking and yeah. Okay, so we did that. Let me show you another way to do it. So here we can just color with the pencil over the tree. And there's actually two trees here. And then we're just going to go over it, smooth the brush strokes out. Okay. And when that dries, I can come back in with the pencil and add a little more depth where the marks, the highlight marks are, so that we get some additional detail in there. This is basic gray, and I'm just gonna add little marks here and there. So in my head, this is a white. And then we can take the blender pen, similar to what we would do with the water brush. Sorry, aqua painter, old days. Old dog, new tricks. You've heard me say that before. Okay. And just add that detail on there. I'm also going to take it and bring this, not with the green, I'm not, bring the door in, which is right here. And add a little depth inside the windows. And here I may choose not to add any water to it. I kind of like the darker effect, so we're going to leave that alone. Now we're winging it because I don't think I have the colors that I had when I was doing this down at the nest. So the other thing is take the aqua painter or water brush or whatever you have, right? And we're going to take a little bit of that color off on the scrap paper and just do a little color on the attached living quarters. And I'm going to do the same thing for the roof. Now, normally you would not mix and match your techniques. Take some of that color off, come in here. But you certainly can, okay? I'm actually, and if you feel like you're not getting enough water, I tend to squeeze it on my back of my hands. I'm going to smudge this a little bit more just to spread that out. There we go. Okay. Now, I don't have pecan pie here because that is in the new set. So I have early espresso, and I'm just going to use that for the tree trunks over here. So there is options to our stamping blends, which we all love and we all want to color with them all the time. But this gives you a little bit of a more artistic look. Although I've seen beautiful work done by lots of demonstrators that's very artistic, so I can't say anything about the ability to get an artistic look. And the more water you have, I just made the grass water, so we're just going to go with it. The whole thing is going to be water now instead of the green up there where the grass was supposed to be. But the more water you add, obviously, the lighter your colors will get. See if I can smooth that out a little bit. And I'm okay with it being darker closer to shore, so I'm not too worried about that. There we go. So that's coloring with the watercolor pencils. Again, you can use the blend and just lay the color down or take the color from the tip again, right? And add that color. Get a little spot there and a little spot there. I want to fix up. However, and whichever tool you have or you want to try. So I encourage you to play with those because they're fun. and you can get different looks with whatever tools you are using. Hey, Julie. Hey, Judy, good to see you both. I couldn't look when I was coloring. I just couldn't do it. All right. So now the thing is that blue is really wet. So I am going to take this and lay it aside, and I'm going to actually put my tape on the back oval and mount it that way. Because I'm afraid if I try to add tape to the back, and if I wasn't live, I would set aside and let it dry, but I am. So we're going to go with it like this. And then this is going to get popped up with dimensionals. So my nail finally grew out long enough I could paint it, and then I broke this one the whole way back last night. So I don't know. What am I missing in my diet, guys, that my nails are breaking? Because they don't usually do that. It's okay. I was really late, Judy, because I was supposed to be live at noon, but best laid plans, right? All right. So there we have that. And then I'm going to, excuse me, going to bring in some of the little adhesive back dragonflies and birds. I forget I have these, but those birds are going to be perfect for the sky. Oh, he doesn't want to come. There we go. Except I think he spun around on me. And he has no adhesive, so we're going to do this. There we go. Okay, and then for the back, we're just going to stamp again in the fresh freesia. Sending heartfelt sympathy. And then that will fit on the inside back of our fun fold. And because those birds are flat, you could even add a bird back here as a little additional accent. And there we go. Stands up, folds flat to go into your card base. Okay. All right. So that's project number 2. Move some things out of the way here. And then project number 3, I cheated because I knew my eyes were not going to be good enough. So I did some coloring in advance. Hope you're okay with that. So here is our card. And we're using that Country Road stamp. Okay, now this is actually done with blends. So we stamped it just straight with ink and used the original, right? This one is stamped just with the Early Espresso. That's the cabin. And then we used watercolor pencils and either the water brush or the blender brush. And then this one we're going to do with blends. So you can see the difference in the coloring, right? Old Olive is the card base. And I have no idea if this is still active or not. This is Adventure Together. These trees were perfect to add as our side panel. I embossed a layer of basic white. I cut it with textured notes first, so I don't know if you can see the detail going around there. And then I actually embossed it with our plaid embossing folder. we will, again, depending on my eyes, we will soon, I said I would wait until I was $20,000 away. And I am a few orders away from $20,000 away from my $1 million sales. So we will do a countdown when that happens, obviously. We'll go ahead and mount this to our card front. Again, I use the matte layer to save cardstock, right? That is so important that we get the most from our cardstock. So I cut my die cut and then covered it up with the folder or with the embossed cardstock. I'm using that happy birthday again. I told you I can't get enough of that one. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. I'm not a graphics person by any means, but I'd love to have like when you're doing charity and they're filling the thermometer or something. I got to figure that out. This stamp is so loved. I've talked about this. If you have a photopolymer stamp that is so loved and it's one of your go-tos and it just loses its stickiness, you can take it to your sink and wash it. And I use like a little Dawn on it, but I can also take a baby wipe over it and just get those oils and dust and whatever else may have accumulated on the back of it. Give it a second to dry. And we're going to put that on there. And it sticks much better. Well, that wasn't long enough for it to dry, but it does stick much better. There we go. Okay, so on this one, I used all the blends. So I did the background with the light pool party, and it looks like this. Okay. And then I colored all my trees and the dirt and all that. So we've got light crumb cake, light and dark mossy meadow, light and dark old olive, and light pecan pie for the trunks, where you see the trunks. Okay. And then where there was gap, I went back in with the light pool party and just added some light pool party attention to that. Okay. And of course, these two trees were stamped and die cut using old olive and the dies for Adventure Together. So here it is, all colored. Okay, it's actually fun to color. This one I did not go around and color the white edges. Oops. This one I did. So I'm anxious to see. Let's lay it on here. And it just totally vanishes that was fussy cut. There is no die for that, sadly. So I did fussy cut that. But again, it was all those greens and the pecan pie is what I used to create that scene. But I often say, watching somebody color is like watching paint dry. And I knew it probably wasn't going to go well with my reduced site. So here we go. We're going to mount that on the matte layer. I keep forgetting we still have these dies. But we've got circles, and we've got squares and circles and these guys. And we're going to pop that right about there. Everything's flat, no dimensionals. But this is a great set if you're somebody that loves to color or fussy cut the images, right? The trees again came from Adventure Together. And then I should have done this in advance too. We'll see if we can hit this. We'll give it a shot, right? I want old olive for this. We'll take it. Not too bad. And then I'm going to layer that on the Mossy Meadow strip. Okay. And that's just going to go right underneath. And there we go. What did I put on the inside? Nothing. So I will be putting something on the inside. Um, and I think I actually pulled. Did I pull a greeting for this? Oh, maybe I didn't. I'm probably just going to use that same greeting. So let's go ahead and do that and get that mounted. And we will grab, if it's here, Mossy Meadow. Have a little difference on the inside. And I'm going to use the old olive to put a tree down in the corner. And there we go. And there we go. Oy. Thank goodness I had that baby wipe out to dry that stamp. So we're going to mount that right on the inside. All right, so there are our 3 projects with framed scenes. One just stamping, right? A little bit of a fun fold with our watercolor brush and watercolor pencils. Wanted to say watercolor crayons. We have not had those for a long time. And then our one done with blends. So you can see a couple of different ways that you can incorporate color or have that monochromatic effect going on simply by stamping the image. Hey, ladies, thanks for hanging in there and sticking with me and joining me today, even though I was late. Apologies for that. And as I said, my plan will be to be live here Sunday night at 8, but Tuesday's going to be up in the air until after we see how the surgery goes. But we will post. If I can't post, I'll have my husband post for me on my Facebook page to let you know if we're a go on Tuesday. Everybody have a fabulous weekend. Enjoy the weather. Hopefully it's nice where you are. And be safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.